Hi, there's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with a short video of the talking about the Ikoria spoilers. We have the full set now, and so I think I'll be doing a top 10 videos of cards that I want to brew around shortly. Just want to do a couple video topics I'll be releasing about my initial thoughts of Ikoria, and this is particularly surrounding Fires of Invention and why I think that Fires of Invention is going to be banned pretty early on of the standard season of Ikoria. The problem with Fires of Invention is it's not a card that's rotating, so it's not a card that Wizards going to say, hey, let's have people have some fun with this card for a while, and then it will just rotate in September. No, this is going to last as long as Ikoria lasts, and therefore I think that it's going to be time for the card to go. Now, a lot of people might say, well, okay, well, the 2020 Cavaliers will rotate, and then Fires of Invention will just have to morph into something else. But I'm thinking that this set, and possibly cards that come out of Core 2021 and all the other sets, are always going to break Fires of Invention. It's just going to be a net negative to the format. I'd make the argument right now that Fires of Invention currently, even though it's not the most dominant deck, but has definitely been one of the more dominant decks in the past 6 months, would be better to be out of the format to begin with, because it's making mid-range decks uncompetitive. Between Wilderness Reclamation and Fires of Invention, it's very, very tough to try to build any other sort of mid-range unless you're going a ramp strategy. So we don't have a traditional mid-range. A deck that I'd like to say would be your traditional mid-range deck in the format that can compete with like mono red or probably control would be black-green adventures. And those type of strategies currently do not exist because of both Wilderness Reclamation and the Fires of Invention decks. You have to be quick enough to actually beat those decks, or they're just going to outvalue you. They are playing what we traditionally have as the mid-range role, but they're doing it very aggressively. So it's almost like an aggro mid-range type shell all-in-one, combo all-in-one, and is making it very, very tough to brew or very, very tough to build other decks, other non-linear decks. I mean, that's what we really have going on in this format right now, is we have like the only really non-linear deck I would say, and it is kind of linear, would be like either the Bant ramps or the blue-green ramp variants, the Sultai ramps. The rest of the decks are very, very linear that are currently competitive, being like Fires of Invention, Wilderness Reclamation, and just mono red. So I would make the argument, and I guess this is a video for our topic for another video, that Fires of Invention is not doing a net positive thing to the format. Now, enter Ikoria, and I'm going to make the argument that this card absolutely has to go with the ultimatums. Yes, they are 7 mana, but they were meant to have these very restrictive converted mana costs, but they're going to be more like 8 mana, 9 mana spells by the time you find all the right sorts of mana sources, or you play the card from the Dryad type cards that will let you produce any type of mana to cast so what we have 2 of those cards currently in the Chromatic Lantern and the Dryad. So those type of cards would be 3 drops that allow you to do it, but they're susceptible to being destroyed or disrupted, and you still have to draw them to be able to actually get these converted mana costs on time. Other than that, these 3-color decks are going to be quite tough to have triple of one color and double of the other 2 colors to cast, except for the card Fires of Invention is going to allow these to be just cast when you have 7 lands out. That's also a very key thing, because it allows you to play a lot more of the tap lands that when you then come into play tap on the last turn, that turn 7 card can come into play tapped, and you can still cast these on time. So it has that going for it. I think that it is going to be an issue, especially for the which one is it? The Ruinous Ultimatum, this one here, is just really going to bust those Fires decks. And I think that that's where we're going to see the Fires decks really head more into, is the black. Maybe they'll start playing, instead of the Cavaliers, something like Nicol Bolas on the 5-drop slot, so Nicol Bolas can come down and remove a permanent, and then you can go into like Ruinous Ultimatum a turn later, and then that's just going to basically win the game. I mean, at that point, the Ruinous Ultimatum is like a Liliana Ultimate, and nothing else needs to be done. It just needs to come out, and I guess it's non-land permanent, so they can come back from that. But it just really, really seems like it's Planar Outburst, a one-sided Planar Outburst on your end of the field. So some of these other ones also seem really, really strong. If you go over to a traditional Fires of Invention using the Cavaliers, you could go green instead of white. Instead of going like, I think you'd actually still would want to go white right now for Teferi. But post-rotation, you would have a kind of a teamer Fires deck. They would run ways to ramp into Fires of Invention to begin with. So the Euro type strategy, or just getting a land out quicker. Through things like, I know that the can't think of the Explorer card right now, the Instant Speed Explorer card that's in the format. Even though that rotates, you'll still have other ways to ramp out more lands, and then get Fires of Invention down a turn early, and then the card like Genesis Ultimatum would then be able to be cast, and then look at the top 5 cards of the library, put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield, and then the rest into your hand. Basically allows you to just go crazy, going against the 2 cards per turn with the Fires of Invention. This is going to be very, very high on the value end of the spectrum. If we take a look at some of these other ultimatums, the Eerie Ultimatum, returning any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to battlefield, might be one they'd skip on, but the other 2, the Inspired Ultimatum, dealing 5 damage, gaining 5 life, and drawing 5 cards, is probably what Fires wants to do to play the role of like the Cavalier. It's doing very similar to either one of those to help you stabilize. That's a 10-point life swing. You can kill basically any threat at that point that has 5 toughness. It also hits planeswalkers, also hits opponents, and then gaining 5 life will give you some padding as well. All these being sorceries, it doesn't matter with Fires of Invention because you can only casting the sorceries to begin with. And the Emergent Ultimatum, search your library for up to 3 monocolored cards with different names and exile them. An opponent chooses one of those cards, and then you get to cast the other 2. I think this is what really shines right now in the current Cavalier build, because you're going to go get either the Cavalier you could actually go get Dream Trawler, the red Cavalier, the blue Cavalier, or you could even put in the Kenrith, which will still exist post-rotation, which is really good with Fires of Invention. It goes beyond that too. I think there are quite a few other cards that work quite well with Fires of Invention. The Mutate cards are not terrible. Putting out like a Flying Trample 6/6 for 5 mana with the Fires of Invention deck, and then if you get another Mutate card on it, then you can really start to get a value, because you're going to get the Mutate of the Luna Apex of Wishes and whatever it mutates with. Many of those abilities are quite good too, and I believe that... So, can you use the Mutate with Fires of Invention? I'm not sure, actually. Someone weigh in on that, if Fires of Invention actually lets you do alternate mana costs by just having them. No, I don't think so. I don't think the Fires that gets around that. Someone comment in the comment section below. I'll have to read Fires of Invention. But I mean, it's still here with other cards that I think are pretty decent with Fire strategy. Whenever you get like a Planeswalker for 5 mana, that's a good way to cheat in multiple Planeswalkers in one turn. Like right now, we still have this Archon route that could get pretty good with cards like Luca, Cooperative, Coppercoat Outcast. We also have, if we scroll down to the multicolored cards, we have some of the other Planeswalkers like Narset that I don't think would be too terrible to run into Fire's list, because you do have Fire's Invention coming down turn 4, and then casting Narset of the Ancient Ways. And it might be kind of awkward. You can do the -2 right off the bat with drawing a card, then discarding a card. And then when you discard that card, you get to take care of a permanent, because you get to deal damage equal to that converted mana cost to a creature or planeswalker. So you get rid of a threat. And that's exactly what usually Fires wants to do on that turn to begin with. So I'm thinking the Sarkhan route of planeswalkers with Fires of Invention is also going to be quite strong. And there are even some of these other cards that are hard to cast, like these, like the Titan's Nest, the Whirlwind Thought, that aren't terrible with Fires. Well, maybe those 2 specifically are, but they're not awful. Songs of Creation would be one that would be interesting with Fires of Invention, being able to play an additional land on your turn, that turn, and then when you cast a spell, you draw 2 cards. So it's going to give you basically the ability to find the perfect cards with Fires. Yeah, it does seem a little bit of a non-bow there. But anyway, that's my kind of analysis with Fires of Invention. I really think it's just the ultimatums to begin with that are going to really break Fires of Invention. The Zenith Flare gets interesting too with cycling in, so you can find Fires of Invention. So you just play a bunch of cycling cards, and then Fires of Invention, then Zenith Flare to stabilize. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too wishful thinking, but same thing with Channel Force. There could be many things that could work pretty well with the Fires of Invention. Yeah, Channel Force, there's another one. Additional cost cast a spell, you discard X cards, and then you draw X cards and deal X damage to a creature or planeswalker. That's another perfect way to find those exact pieces for Fires of Invention. So you drop your Fires of Invention, you drop Channel Force on that turn, you take care of a threat, you ditch your hand for anything you don't want to then cast your 2/5 mana spells on the following turn and possibly just win the game right there. So I think Channel Force is another one that's going to push Fires over the top. Definitely interested in your comments in the comment section below of what you think is going to happen in this format. I'll be talking about some other archetypes I think are going to get very strong. I'm looking at Arclight Phoenix again. I'm thinking that both that and the Drake get much better with both the cycling cards, and there are a lot of ways. We have the reunion, Karthik, whatever the reunion, the one that was Chandra and her mother, and they've redone it with some dinosaur. Where's the one I'm talking about here? Let's see here. To draw 2 cards, or discard 2 cards, draw 3. Cathartic. Wow, I can't say that to save my life today. Cathartic Reunion is back in Standard, which is pretty good with the Phoenix. It's actually everything you want now, because one of the things we haven't had in the format is a sorcery draw spell. A lot of them are instant for this type of effect. And like currently in one of my Arclight Phoenix decks, I'm running a Shimmer, and it would rather have something like Cathartic Reunion in that place, because it actually allows for the finale of the red finale to actually have a sorcery in your graveyard to cast on time. So anyway, that's kind of interesting for the Phoenix build, and there are plenty others. So Phoenix, Flash decks get a lot of support in this. We'll be doing a video talking about how I think that just blue Flash, blue-red Flash, blue-black Flash, blue-green Flash gets a big upgrade in this Ikoria. And, of course, there are plenty of other archetypes in Frontier that I think that really, really get a buff from this particular set, and we'll be doing videos about that. So keep your eyes peeled for that when it comes out. And, yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think about Fires of Invention. If I'm just totally off, let me know. Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder, thanks for watching.